Hello, my name is Ms. Epps, and today I'm coming to you with another video lesson. The title of our story is called, Who Do You Look Like? Who Do You Look Like? Before we begin our story, we're going to go over some vocabulary words that are associated with the story. All right, I'm going to say the word and I want you to repeat the word after me. And we're going to start right here. Alike. Repeat that word. Different. Repeat that word. DNA. Repeat that word. Gene. Repeat that word. I want you to pay close attention to the pictures too that are associated with the word as well. They'll help you to understand the words and the story itself. Trait. Repeat that word again. Trait. All right. So now let's go back to our story. And I want to ask you a question. Who do you look like? Your parents or your pets? I'm going to ask you that question again. Who do you look like? Your parents or your pets? Did you say your parents? You're exactly right. Once again, our story is entitled, Who Do You Look Like? And our author is, right down here, Amy Ben, and our illustrator is Katie Zalowski. What does an author do? Did you say write the book? So Amy Ben wrote the book. Here's your illustrator. What does an illustrator do? Did you say draw the pictures? You're exactly right. An illustrator draws the pictures. Okay. Now I want you to look at this book cover. What do you think this story is going to be about? Think about that for a second. We're going to start with our first activity. And it says, what is the title of the story? What is the title of the story? What is the title of our story? Did you say, who do you look like? And it says, from the title, what do you think the story will be about? Well, if you look at that title, what do you think the story is going to be about? You could say, who do I look like? Who is the author of the story? Do you remember? Let's go back to the book cover. There's our author right there, right? Amy Ben, right? So let's go over here and put her name in. Okay. Our next question was, who is the illustrator of the story? Do you remember? Okay, let's go back to our book cover. And here's our illustrator right here, right? Katie Zalowski. All right. Okay, so now it asks you another question. It says, I like to. Now you have to think about this. Which one of these do you like? Do you like to read by yourself? Have someone read to me, it says, or listen on the computer? I like to read by myself. What do you like? All right, so let's move on, and we're going to begin to read our story, okay? And you do have access to this story. It's under the lesson materials. The only thing you need to do is to tell your parent to look for the story, and you're able to access the story that way also. And you can read along with me. All right. So now this is Carrie and Jeff. Carrie and Jeff are sister and brother. Carrie and Jeff look alike, but they also look different. Carrie and Jeff have special traits. These traits make them look the way they do. These traits in genes, these traits are in genes in their DNA. Now, Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from their parents. Who do they look like? Now, there's a picture of Carrie and Jeff and their parents. And the symbol right here, see the symbol here? There's a symbol. I'm going to just put a dot there for DNA. The text says Carrie and Jeff get DNA from their parents. Okay, now I want you to think about your parents, okay? All right? And then I want you to think about this. Do you get your DNA from your parents? Did you say, yes, I get, if Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from their parents, then I must get some DNA from my parents as well. You're exactly right if you said that. Carrie has brown hair. Carrie's mother has brown hair too. Carrie gets this trait from her mother. It is in her DNA. Jeff has blonde hair. Jeff's father has blonde hair too. Jeff gets this trait from his father. It is in his DNA. And as we go along, I want you to think about what Carrie and Jeff get from their parent, okay? I want you to think about what Carrie and Jeff get from their parent, because I'm going to ask you that at the end of our story. Now, Carrie has brown eyes. Carrie's mother has brown eyes too. Carrie gets this trait from her mother. It is in her DNA. Jeff has blue eyes. Jeff's father has blue eyes too. Jeff gets this trait from his father. It is in his DNA. Carrie is short. Carrie's mother is short too. Carrie gets this trait from her mother. It is in her DNA. Now Jeff is tall. Jeff's father is tall too. Jeff gets this trait from his father. It is in his DNA. Who does Carrie look like? Who does Jeff look like? Who do you look like? So now let's look at Carol. Who does she look like? Does she look more like her father, or does she look more like her mom? You say she looks more like her mother? I think so, because look at their chin. They have a similar chin, right? It's in her DNA, right? It's in Carrie's DNA. It's a trait that she gets from her mom. Now, let's take a look at Jeff. Who does Jeff look like? Does he look more like his mom or his dad? So would you say he looks more like his dad? I think he has traits from both of his parents. He definitely has his father's height, okay? So he definitely has features from his mom. So now I want you to think about who you look like, okay? Think about both of your parents and which parent do you look like the most? We're going to talk about that at the end of our story. Okay, let's move on. And that's the end of our story. So now what we're going to do, we're going to answer some questions about our story. But before we go further, I'm going to ask you this special question. Okay? So now, what do Carrie and Jeff get from their parent? And I want you to look at these two pictures right here, different in DNA. Which one of these things do they get from their parents? Do they get the DNA from their parents or different? Did you say DNA? Yes, they get their DNA from their parent. Okay? This didn't make sense, did it? All right. So let's move on forward to some more questions. And let's go over our very first sentence here. Now you see you have a blank box here, and you're going to fill in this box with the correct word. But whatever word you put in this box, you want to make sure that it makes sense in the sentence. Sometimes you can put a word here and it may make sense to you, but does it go along with what's happening in the sentence or what's being said about the sentence? You have to make sure it makes sense. So let's read our first sentence. It says, Carrie and Jeff are sister and here are our choices. Alike, parents, traits, brother, DNA. So let's see what the correct word is. And we have to use our story. We can use our story to find out the answer, okay? And it says here, if you look right here, it says Carrie and Jeff are sister and what? Sister and brother. There it is, right there. Oh, I'm sorry. Carrie and Jeff are sister and brother. I just want to underline that for you. There you go. There's your first answer there. Okay. So let's go back here. And we're going to put brother. Yes. Okay. Let's go to our next sentence. It says, Carrie and Jeff look. Let's look at our choices. So now we're going to use a technique called process of elimination. Okay. And it says here, Carrie and Jeff look alike. Does that make sense? So we can put a little imaginary check there. It makes sense. Carrie and Jeff look parents. Does that make sense? You can put an imaginary X there. Carrie and Jeff look traits. Does that make sense? You put an imaginary X there. Carrie and Jeff look brother. Does that make sense? No, that doesn't make sense. Carrie and Jeff look DNA. Does that make sense? No, so we can put an imaginary X over that one too. Which one sounded correct? Did you say alike? Yes, because they do look alike, don't they? Number 3 says Carrie and Jeff have special what? Parents, traits, brother, or DNA? So let's go back to our story. So Carrie, and here's our answer, Carrie and Jeff have special what? Traits. Let me underline that for you. Special traits, okay? All right, so let's move on to number 4. These traits are in genes in their what? Alike, parents, traits, brother, DNA. Which one makes sense? If we put a like there, would that make sense? These traits are in genes and they're alike. That doesn't make sense. These traits are in genes in their parents. Does that make sense? These traits are in genes in their traits. Does that make sense? These traits are in genes in their brother. Does that make sense? These traits are in genes in their what? DNA. Does that make sense? Let's check the story. And there it is. These traits are genes in their what? DNA. All right, number 5 says Carrie and Jeff get DNA from their, let's see what our choices are, alike, parents, traits, brother. We have to figure out which word makes sense in the sentence. Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from their alike. Does that make sense? No, so we need to put in an imaginary X there. Carrie and Jeff get DNA from their parents. Does that make sense? Well, that makes sense. Let's put an imaginary check there. Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from their traits. Does that make sense? No. Carrie and Jeff get DNA from their brother. Does that make sense? So let's go back to our story. What does it say here? Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from their who? Parents. Let me underline that for you. From their parents. All right. Let's go back here and put parents. Oh, great. You did a good job filling in those sentences with the correct words. Okay, so let's go move on to our next activity. Now, the title of this activity is called Main Idea and Key Details, okay? Main idea and key details. Now it says here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you. It says, who are the main characters in this story? Who are the main characters in this story? Is it A, Carrie and Jeff, B, Miss Blair, or C, grandparents? Let's see who the main characters are. And it starts off by saying, this is Carrie and Jeff. So let's go a little bit further. Who do we Who do we see on this page? Once again, it says Carrie and Jeff. Here we see something else about Carrie and Jeff. So then let's go back to our question. Who are the main characters in this story? Who is talked about the most? Did you say Carrie and Jeff? You were right, because did we hear anything about Mrs. Blair? Did we hear anything about their grandparents? Carrie and Jeff, okay? What is this story about? What is this story about? A, Carrie and Jeff look like their parents. B, Carrie and Jeff go on a family trip. Or C, Carrie and Jeff are friends from school. Let's use our story to get our answer. And if we look here, we see here that it's talking about different traits that Jeff and Carrie have. So we have here that Jeff has blonde hair like his dad. And if we go back here, Carrie has brown hair like her mom. It says Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from who? Their parents. Who do they look like the most? So let's look at our answer choices. It says, what is the story most about? Carrie and Jeff look like their parents. Okay, we can put a check there, right? Because it mentioned something about that. The story did mention something about that. Carrie and Jeff go on a family trip. Did it mention it that they went on a trip? Carrie and Jeff are friends from school. Did they mention anything about them being friends? So our answer is what? Carrie and Jeff look like their parents, okay? All right, very good. All right, now we're going to talk about the events of the story, okay? We're going to talk about the events of the story. We're going to talk about what happened first. Let's click on this box and see what our choices are. Okay, so we have to determine which one of these things happened first in the story. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to move this up. All right, it says here, Carrie has brown hair like her mom. Carrie and Jeff look alike but also different. Or Jeff has blue eyes like his dad. Which one happened first? Let's use our story to get our answer. So we have here that Carrie and Jeff look alike, but they also look different. That's our answer. That happened first, right? Here's our answer right here. So let's go back to our all right, so let's see what happened next. So what happened after that? Do we have Carrie has brown hair like her mom, or Jeff has blue eyes like his dad? So let's look at our story and see what happened next, okay? Well, there it is. So after we talked about what Carrie and how Carrie and Jeff looked alike, the next thing that comes up is what? Carrie has brown hair. Carrie's mother has brown hair too. So Carrie has brown hair like her mom. Now we're down to the last fact. It says Jeff has blue eyes like his dad. So that must be the answer because we do not have any other answer choices. But let's make sure, okay? Let's use our story. What's next? Jeff has blue eyes. Jeff's father has blue eyes too. So let's go to our choice. And there it is. Jeff has blue eyes like his who? Like his dad. So let's go back over and review those events. First, Carrie and Jeff look alike, but also look different. Next, Carrie has brown eyes like her mom. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And then last, Jeff has blue eyes like his dad. All right, let's move down. And it says here, what is an important idea or lesson you learned from the story? So let's look at our choices. Carrie and Jeff get their DNA from their teacher. Carrie and Jeff are cousins. Carrie and Jeff get traits from their parents in their DNA. Let's see what our answer is. Make a choice, okay? All right, let's use our story to get an answer, okay? And what does it say here? That Carrie and Jeff have special traits, right? And Carrie and Jeff get what from their parents? DNA, right? And it's right here. They get their DNA from their parent. All right. Let's go back over and complete our question here. And it says here, Carrie and Jeff get traits from their parents in their DNA. So now if we look at these two answers, the story does not mention Carrie and Jeff getting DNA from their teacher, right? So we could have definitely crossed that out. And the story said Carrie and Jeff were what? You said it correct, brother and sister. They were not cousins. So we could have used the process of elimination technique here, as well as checking it with your story, okay? All right, very good. So now we're going to go back to our story, and we're going to look for some vocabulary words. Do you remember those vocabulary words that we had here? Alike. So let's look and see if we can find the word alike in our story. I'm going to pull up the page and then I'll let you look for it. Do you see alike on this page? There it is. There's the word alike. Alike. All right. So now let's go back and see the next word that we're going to look for. We're going to look for different. Different. And let me show you what the word looks like first. There's a word there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. See it? Different. Now, where is that word on this page? Did you say it's right here? There it is. Different. Very good. Now I want you to look for these set of letters, DNA. Okay, let's go back to our story. There it is. DNA. Let's look for our next word, gene. See? Gene. Now we need to find it in our story. Do you see it? Point to it. There it is, gene. Okay, let's find our next word. Parent. Let's look for it in our story. There it is. It has the S on it, but parents, there we go. All right. And our last word that we're going to look for is called trait. Let's start right down here. So trait, so let's see where we can find it in our story, okay? Let's go back here. Now here it has traits with the S, okay? Let's see if we can find it where it says, there it is. Did you see it? Trait? You're exactly right. There is trait. All right. Okay. So we've learned a lot today, and I wanted to tell you that I was glad to be with you today. I hope that you learned a lot about DNA and the special things that you get from your parent, okay? I want you to stay healthy and stay safe, and I'll see you the next time in the next video lesson.